You're wicked, you ungrateful being. I regret bringing you into my home. Husband snatcher, get out! My friend, I am so sorry. Forgive me.
Tola woke up to the soft rays of the early Lagos sun filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows of her master's bedroom. She stretched and looked around at the elegant room decorated in cream and gold. The air conditioner hummed quietly, a relief against the warm morning. Outside, she could see the tops of palm trees swaying gently along the quiet street of Lekki Phase 1. It was a beautiful morning in their upscale neighborhood, and everything felt peaceful and secure. Her husband Kunle was already up. Tola found him on the balcony, sipping a cup of coffee and gazing out at the city skyline in the distance. In the morning light, his features were calm and handsome, his eyes thoughtful. He wore a crisp white bathrobe, looking every bit the relaxed young executive starting his day. "Good morning, darling," Tola said softly as she stepped out to join him. She wrapped her arms around him from behind, resting her head against his broad back. Kunle turned and smiled warmly. "Good morning, my love. Did you sleep well?" he asked, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. His voice was filled with love and tenderness. "Yes," she replied with a contented sigh, "especially knowing I get to wake up next to you." She rose on her toes to give him a light kiss on the cheek. He chuckled, pulling her into an embrace. "You always know how to make me start my day with a smile." They stood there for a moment, enjoying the gentle morning breeze and each other's presence. From below, faint sounds of the city drifted up. A car horn in the distance, the melody of a street hawker calling out words, and birds chirping in the trees lining their property. Their home was a spacious two-story house in Lekki Phase 1, one of Lagos' most affluent areas. The couple, both in their late 20s, had worked hard and were grateful for their success. The house had a small beautiful garden out in front of the compound. Inside, every room was tastefully furnished, not in a flashy way, but with quiet evidence of luxury. Marble floors, soft leather sofas, modern art on the walls, and a gleaming open kitchen with state-of-the-art appliances. It was the kind of home they had dreamed of starting their life in, and every day they felt fortunate. After a light breakfast together, toast, omelette, and freshly squeezed orange juice prepared by the cook, Kunle got ready to leave for his office in Victoria Island. He was a senior manager at a tech firm, and although the drive to VI could be long due to traffic, living in Lekki meant it was much shorter if they lived on the mainland. Still, he always tried to leave early to beat the notorious Lagos rush hour. Tola, on the other hand, ran a small fashion boutique online and had the flexibility to work from home or visit suppliers around town as needed. This morning, she planned to organize new inventory and respond to customer orders, a relatively relaxed day for her. As Kunle picked up his laptop bag, Tola walked him to the door. She always made a point to send him off with a loving goodbye. "Drive safely, okay?" she said, straightening the collar of his neatly pressed blue shirt. "I will," he promised, giving her a gentle kiss on the lips. "And you have a great day too. Don't work too hard. Maybe take some time for yourself." She smiled. "I will try. See you in the evening. Love you." "Love you more," he replied with a grin before heading out the door. Tola watched from the doorway as Kunle's black SUV exited the gate, the security guard waving respectfully. She felt a swell of love and gratitude. At 28 years old, she felt she was living a life most could only dream of. A loving husband, a comfortable home in a nice neighborhood, and a growing business of her own. But Tola was not just grateful for material things. It was the warmth of her marriage that truly made her happy. She and Kule had met during their university days and built their life together from scratch. They understood each other deeply, communicated openly, and supported each other's dreams. In their 3 years of marriage, they had faced challenges like any couple: busy schedules, a miscarriage the previous year which had been tough on both of them, and the pressures of extended family, but they faced everything as a team. Those trials had only strengthened their bond. After tidying up the breakfast dishes alongside the housekeeper, Mama Bisi, Tola settled into the living room with her laptop. She answered some customer inquiries and scheduled a social media post for her boutique's new summer dress collection. As she sipped a second cup of tea, her phone rang with an incoming call. She glanced at the screen and saw the name, Sade, flash. Sade was her best friend since secondary school, practically a sister. They had grown up in the same neighborhood in Ikeja on the mainland and remained close through the years. While Tola had gone to university in Lagos and eventually married Kunle, Sade's journey had been more turbulent. She had lost her father during their university years and had to shoulder her family's financial burdens. Life had not been as kind or as easy for her as it had been for Tola. Yet, despite any differences in their circumstances, their friendship stayed strong. They talked often and met up whenever they could. Though recently, it had been a few months since they have seen each other in person due to busy schedules. Seeing her friend's name, Tola answered eagerly, "Sade, hey, it's so good to hear from you." What greeted her was not the cheerful banter she expected, but a muffled sob. "Tola," came Sade's trembling voice. Immediately, Tola sat up straight, heart pounding with concern. "Sade, what's wrong?" she asked urgently. "Are you okay?" There was a shuddering breath on the other end. I didn't want to bother you. I'm sorry," Sade managed to say, clearly crying. "Don't apologize, please," Tola said, her voice gentle but firm. "Talk to me. What happened?" It's just, I don't know what to do," Sade said between sobs. "My landlord, he gave me notice. I have to leave my flat by the end of this week. He's increasing the rent and I can't afford it anymore." "Oh no," Tola responded, shocked and sympathetic. She knew Sade had been struggling financially ever since she lost her last job 2 months ago. Lagos rents were notoriously high, especially when one lived alone without a stable income. "That's terrible. Did he give any reason or anywhere else in his properties you could go?" "No. He said he already has a new tenant willing to pay more. I've been trying to find another place, but everything is so expensive now," Sade lamented. Her voice was raw with stress. "I haven't even gotten a new job yet. I have some savings, but not enough for the kind of 2 years rent upfront people are asking." Tola could hear the despair in her friend's voice. She bit her lip, thinking quickly. She didn't want Sade to panic or do anything rash, like taking an unsafe accommodation in a far-out suburb. "Listen, what about your cousin in Sulere? Can you stay with her for a while?" Tola asked, trying to think of immediate options. "She's already housing 2 other relatives," Sade sniffed. "Her place is too cramped. I slept on her couch last night. I can't impose longer than a day or 2. I feel so helpless right now, Tola." Tola's mind raced. She felt a surge of protectiveness and love for her friend. Here was someone who had stood by her through thick and thin, and now she was in trouble. How could she let her best friend suffer when she had a big house with a spare room lying empty? An idea formed, and she wondered why it hadn't come immediately. "Shade, pack your bags and come stay with me, Ankunle," she said decisively. There was a stone silence on the line. "What? No, I can't, Tola. You've already done so much for me in the past. I can't intrude on your marriage. It's not good like that," Shade protested, though her voice carried a glimmer of hope. "It's not an intrusion. We have a guest room that nobody's using. We would be happy to have you until you get back on your feet." Tola insisted. "What are friends for? You would do the same for me." I don't know," Shade hesitated. "I don't want to cause any issues between you and Kunle. I know it's your home." "Kunle is fine with this. In fact, I will call him now and let him know," Tola said, already reaching for her phone to test her husband. She had no doubt that Kunle's heart would be open to helping her friend. She and Kunle had occasionally hosted relatives or friends for short stays, and he had never once complained. He was generous and understood how much her friendships meant to her. Before Shade could object further, Tola continued. "It's settled. You are coming here. Just bring your important stuff. You can stay as long as you need to till you find a new job and a place. Please, Shade, I won't take no for an answer. I can't have you worrying about where to sleep next week." On the other end, Shade broke into fresh tears, but this time they were tears of relief. "Tola, thank you. You have no idea what this means to me. You are my best friend," Tola said softly, her own eyes moist now. "We will sort this out together, okay? Just get your things ready. I'll send Samuel, our driver, with the car to help you move whatever you need by this evening." After a bit more reassuring, Tola hung up. She immediately sent a quick text to Kunle. "Morning, love. Just spoke with Shade. She's in a housing crisis. Landlord evicted her. I offered our guest room for a while. We can talk more later, but I really want to help her." She hoped he would understand. A few minutes later, her phone chimed with his reply. "Of course, I'm okay with it. We will make her feel at home. Love you." Relieved and grateful, Tola smiled to herself. She knew she had the most supportive husband. She spent the rest of the money tidying up the guest room herself, instructing the housekeeper to change the sheets and put out fresh towels. She added some nice touches, like a small vase of flowers on the bedside table, to make her friend feel truly welcome. As she prepared the room, she thought back to their childhood antics, sleepovers at each other's houses, giggling over secrets late into the night. Who would have thought years later Shade would actually come live with her for a while? The circumstances were unfortunate, but Tola promised herself she would do everything to make Shade comfortable and help her bounce back. By late afternoon, everything was set. The guest room looked inviting, painted in a soft peach color with a window overlooking the garden. It had its own small ensuite bathroom, which Tola stocked with toiletries she knew Shade liked, including the shea butter lotion Shade always used. Around 5 p.m., security at the gate called to inform her that Shade had arrived along with their driver. Tola practically ran to the front door in excitement. She opened it to see Shade stepping out of a silver Toyota Camry that the driver had taken to fetch her. Shade looked a bit wary and embarrassed, but she managed a smile when she saw Tola. Shade was the same age as Tola, but slightly shorter and curvier. Today, she wore a simple yellow blouse and jeans. Her usually cheerful face looked tired, and her eyes were puffy, likely from the stress and crying. She had a suitcase and a couple of bags. As soon as she got to the doorway, Tola pulled her into a tight hug. "You are here, thank God. Welcome, my dear. Shade hugged her back, clinging to her for a moment. Thank you so much, Tola, she whispered. Come in, come in. Tola ushered her inside. The driver brought in her suitcase. Don't worry about it, I will have someone bring in the rest of your stuff. The cool air-conditioned interior made Shade sigh in relief after the heat outside. She looked around at the spacious living room with a mix of admiration and shyness. Taking in the high ceiling, the large painting of a Lagos lagoon scene on the wall, the plush rug under the coffee table. Your home is beautiful, she said softly. Tola smiled, taking her hand and leading her further in. This is your home now too. As long as you are here, please feel free. They sat on the couch for a moment. Mama Bisi, the housekeeper, quietly brought a tray with cold water and a glass of freshly made watermelon juice for Shade. Tola had anticipated she might be tasty after the journey. Shade took the water gracefully. You didn't have to go to all this trouble. It's not trouble at all. Tola waved it off. I'm just happy you are here and safe. How was the trip? Traffic wasn't too bad, I hope. It was fine, Shade said after a long sip. Her shoulders relaxed a bit. Samuel is a great driver. He even helped me talk to my landlord security into letting us park inside the compound while I quickly packed some things. It was a bit rushed, but I have most of what I need for now. The rest of my stuff can stay with my cousin for a while. Good. And now you can breathe, Tola said, patting her hand. Shade nodded, emotion shining in her eyes. I still feel like I'm dreaming. I felt so lost this morning. And now I have this. She gestured around the lovely home. Don't be silly, Tola chided gently. You would do the same for me, wouldn't you? Of course, Shade answered quickly. I just know this is you and Shade personal space. I promise I won't be a burden or overstay my welcome. I'll try to find a job as soon as possible and get out of your hair. You focus on getting a job for your own stability, not because we are rushing you out, Tola said firmly. We want you here as long as you need to be, okay? And you could never be a burden. Shade, you are family. Overwhelmed, Shade hugged her again. Tears brimmed in her eyes. But this time, they were tears of gratitude. Just then, the front door clicked open. Hello, ladies, came Kunle's warm voice as he walked in. He had let himself in with his key, arriving earlier than usual from work, likely because he wanted to be there to welcome Shade. He carried a small bouquet of flowers and a polythene bag that looked like takeout. Both women stood up. Kunle was tall and athletic in build, with a friendly open face. He flashed a bright smile. Welcome, Shade, he said, stepping forward. Shade wiped her eyes quickly so as not to appear like she's been crying again. She mustered a smile back. Thank you, Kunle, and thank you for having me here. I'm so sorry for any inconvenience. Kunle shook his head and immediately handed her the bouquet of fresh white lilies. It's our pleasure. This is a home, not just a house. We are happy to share it with a friend who needs it. Here, these are for you. And I thought you both might not want to cook tonight, so I brought home some dinner, jollof rice and grilled fish from Yellow Chile. Oh wow, you didn't have to, Shade said, clearly touched. Ah, this is so sweet, Tola added, giving Kunle an approving look full of love. She knew he had gone out of his way to make Shade feel welcome, and that warmed her heart. It's nothing. I figured you two had a long day, and I got out of the office early, he said casually. He then made a playful face. Also, it gives me an excuse to have that delicious grilled fish. I've been craving for it all day. They all laughed, easing the emotional tension. After that, they settled Shade into the guest room. Kunle carried her suitcase for her down the doorway. The guest room was across from the master bedroom, separated by a short corridor lined with framed photos of Tola and Kunle's wedding and travels. One photo caught Shade's eyes. It was the three of them at Tola and Kunle's wedding reception 2 years ago. The bride and groom beaming with joy, and Shade beside them as the chief bridesmaid. Just as happy for her friends, Shade stared at the picture for a moment, her expression unreadable, but then she smiled and followed them into her room. "Oh my," she gasped when she saw the room. "This is so lovely. I don't know what to say." The room indeed looked inviting. A queen-sized bed with a soft blue duvet, a small desk by the window, and the ensuite bathroom door, slightly open, showing the clean towels and toiletries. "Say you will get a good night's rest tonight," Tola replied, squeezing her friend's hand. That evening passed pleasantly. The three of them ate dinner together in the dining room, sharing stories. Shade looking more refreshed after a shower and changed of clothes. Even cracked a few jokes. She recounted a few amusing tales about strange customers at the last job in retail, making Kunle and Tola laugh. They all talked about their university days, reminding each other of old classmates and silly things they did in school. Kunle listened with amusement as the two friends reminisced about sneaking out of the dorms for late-night suya, spicy grilled meat, or the time Tola and Shade got in trouble for swapping exam seats to help another friend. "Those were the days," Tola said with a small smile. "Now we are adults with real responsibilities." "But you two still found time for fun," Kunle pointed out. "Just last few months, weren't you two at that concert on VI dancing like teenagers?" He winked at his wife and she laughed, recalling how she dragged him to a popular singer's concert. Shade watched them interact, a soft smile on her face. To an outside observer, she seemed simply happy to be among friends, but behind her eyes, there was a flicker of something else, perhaps envy or longing. As she observed the gentle teasing and affection between the couple, if anyone noticed, they didn't mention it. As the night grew late, they all yawned almost in unison. The emotional day had taken its toll on Shade, and even the hosts were tired from the excitement. "All right, I think we should all get some rest," Kunle said, standing and stretching. He collected the empty plate to take to the kitchen, waving off Shade's attempt to help. "No, you are our guest. We will handle this. You go relax." "Yes, tomorrow is a new day," Tola added. "Shade, if you're up for it, we can go around the neighborhood, maybe show you the shopping center nearby, or you can join me in some errands. But if you prefer to rest, that's totally fine too. Make yourself at home." "I appreciate everything, really," Shade said, suppressing a yawn. "I think I will sleep in a bit. It's the first time in a while I won't be worrying about, well, everything." "Thank you both for giving me that peace of mind, even if just for tonight. There are many more peaceful nights here for you until you sort things out," Tola assured her, giving her a good night hug. Kunle gave a friendly nod and smile. With that, they each retired to their rooms. In the master bedroom, as Tola changed into her nightgown, she felt content. She was glad to have helped her friend. Kunle was already in bed, flipping through channels on the TV to catch late night news or a football highlight. She seemed happier already, Kunle said, looking up at his wife. "I'm glad we could help her out." "Thank you, dear, for being so understanding," Tola replied, sliding into bed and leaning her head on his shoulder. "It means so much to me. Shade is like a sister. I couldn't just watch her struggle when we have room to help." Kunle kissed her forehead. "You have a good heart. That is one of the reasons I love you. And she's a good person. I've known her almost as long as I've known you. She deserves a break. They watched TV quietly for a few more minutes, but Tola's mind was already drifting to sleep. Before she drifted off, she thought about how well the day had turned out and how hopefully this arrangement would be only positive, helping a friend in need. There was a tiny belly formed worry at the back of her mind. She had heard stories of house guests overstaying or causing issues, but she brushed that aside. This was Sade, her best friend. They had no secrets, no grudges, only trust and love from years of friendship. If anything, living together for a while might bring them even closer, like sisters. In the guest room, Sade lay on the comfortable bed, staring at the ceiling. The room was dark except for a silver of moonlight sneaking through the curtains. She felt the cool breeze from the air conditioner and noticed how quiet the environment was compared to the noisy, crowded compound she had lived in before. Here, there was no sound of a generator grinding next door, no shouting neighbors, no traffic din. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful for her racing thoughts. She couldn't sleep yet. Her mind replayed the events of the day, and she felt overwhelmed with gratitude. And something else she didn't want to admit. When she saw Tola and Kunle together, their affectionate glances, the way he catered to his wife and even to her, a guest, she felt a pang of loneliness for not having the kind of relationship in her life. At almost 30, Sade had seen her share of heartbreak. Her last boyfriend had left her when her financial troubles began. And there was Tola with everything seemingly perfect. A dream husband, a lovely home, a thriving small business. It wasn't that Sade wished her friend any evil. Never. But deep in her heart, she wondered, why not me? Why have I been dealt such a hard hand? Why Tola's life seems so blessed? She immediately felt guilty for the thought. Tola had worked hard and also faced pain. Sade knew about the miscarriage, how devastated Tola was, even if she put on a brave face now. Life wasn't perfect for anyone, and Tola's helping her now, proving what a true friend she is. Sade turned on her side, closing her eyes tightly. She resolved to focus on getting a new job, saving money, and moving out to rebuild her life. She would not take this kindness for granted. She would repay them someday for this generosity. With those thoughts, exhaustion finally overtook her, and she fell asleep. The first few days of Sade's stay were smooth and pleasant. Each morning, they would all share breakfast. Sometimes, it was a quick meal if Kunle was rushing to work, just cereal or bread and eggs. And other days, during weekends, a more brunch of yam and egg stew or pancakes with fruit. Sade always offered to help in the kitchen and around the house. At first, Mama Bisi, the housekeeper, was protective of her duties, but Tola explained that Sade just wanted to keep busy and feel useful. So Sade took on small tasks, washing the dishes after meals, helping to fold laundry, or watering the plants in the garden in the evenings. It made her feel less like a burden and more at home. One sunny Saturday, Tola decided to take Sade out with her to run some errands and enjoy the weekend atmosphere. They drove through the streets of Lekki in Tola's white sedan, windows down to feel the lagoon breeze. They passed by the modern cafes, boutiques, and the well-trimmed lawns of other posh houses. Tola pointed out places of interest. That's a nice ice cream parlor that opened recently. They have the best gelato. Over there is the gym Kunle and I go to sometimes. And that building with the glass front, that's the supermarket we shop at. It has everything. Sade admired the neighborhood. It's really nice here, peaceful, but also lively in its own way. Yes, I love it, though the traffic on weekends can be crazy on the main road. Tola laughed. They stopped at a mall on Victoria Island where Tola needed to pick up some imported fabric for her boutique. It was a high-end mall filled with foreigners and wealthy Nigerians strolling in designer clothes. While waiting at the fabric store, they decided to get some lunch at a fancy cafe. Shade looked around at the marble floors and elegant decor, feeling a bit out of place in her simple dress and sandals. But Tola, dressed in casual check jeans and a flowy top, fit right in and didn't seem to notice any disparity. Over salad and jollof rice, the friends talked about lighter topics, memories from school, celebrities they followed on Instagram, and their dreams. At some point, Tola asked, "So what kind of job are you thinking of getting next? Do you want to stay in retail or try something new?" Shade shrugged. "Honestly, at this point, I would like to take anything stable. Retail is what I know, but the hours were long and the pay was small. Maybe an office job, but I only have a diploma, not a full degree like you. It's harder to compete. You are smart and hardworking. We'll figure out something," Tola said encouragingly. "Maybe Kunle can refer you to a position at his friend's company or something. Let's ask him. I'll appreciate it, but I don't want special treatment or to make him feel obligated," Shade said, stirring her drink. "He offered already. Actually," Tola admitted. "He mentioned last night that he would talk to some colleagues to see if they know of openings. He really wants to help too." Shade smiled and looked down. "You both. You are really kind. I'm lucky to have you as friends." She paused, then added softly, "Watching you and Kunle, your life, it gives me hope that maybe I can also have something like this one day. You know, a stable life, a partner who cares." "You will, by God's grace," Tola said, reaching over to squeeze her friend's hand. "Don't lose hope. A few years ago, I was also just a girl dreaming of a better life. Things can change fast, and any man would be lucky to have someone like you." Shade blushed a little and changed the topic, slightly uncomfortable with praise she didn't feel she deserved. When they returned home, the late afternoon sun was casting golden light across the sitting room. They found Kunle relaxing on the couch, watching a football match on TV. It was Saturday, so he was home earlier, enjoying the downtime. "You are back. Hey Shade, did she drag you to every shop in VI?" Kunle joked as they walked in. "Not at all," Shade laughed. "Just a few. We had a nice time actually." "Good to hear. You ladies have fun. I was just catching up on the Premier League," he said. His team had apparently won because he looked pleased. During the evening, Kunle stepped out to visit a friend nearby, and the two women were left at home. They decided to try out a new cake recipe for fun, making a mess of the kitchen in the process with flour and butter. They ended up laughing like old times when the cake rose lopsided and slightly burnt on the other side. Later, after cleaning up, they watched a movie in the living room. It was a popular Nollywood drama that had recently came out. Partway through the movie, Kunle returned home, his entrance quiet. He saw them engrossed in the film and decided to sneak up. Suddenly, he jumped over the back of the couch to sit between them with an exaggerated "I'm back." Both women jumped and then burst into laughter when they saw it was him. "Kunle, you scared us," Tola scolded playfully, swatting his arm. He chuckled. Sorry. Couldn't resist." "So, what are we watching?" "A Nollywood film, Love and Lagos, about some complicated love triangle," Shade said. She was still giggling from the surprise. "Oh, those always have a lot of drama," Kunle said knowingly. He settled in between them, dropping an arm behind Tola on the couch. "Catch me up." So, Shade quickly summarized the plot, which did indeed involve a woman whose best friend betrayed her by dating her ex. A coincidence that none of them noted at the times as relevant to their own lives. It was just entertainment. They commented and joked as the movie went on, with Kunle occasionally making a funny remark that made both women laugh. In that moment, all three seemed like old friends without a care in the world. The only difference was that Tola noticed something. Shade was laughing more freely now, her eyes bright. It warmed Tola's heart to see her friend healing from the stress and sadness. She had been worried that living with them might make Shade feel like a charity case, but it seemed to be having a positive effect instead. Still, over the next few weeks, small things began to change in subtle ways, little by little, barely noticeable, unless one paid close attention. It started with the morning routines. Usually, Tola woke up first, but one day, she woke up to find the other side of the bed empty, and it was only 6 a.m. Surprised, she threw on a robe and wandered out to the living area. There, she found Kunle and Shade in the kitchen together, both in casual workout clothes, chatting. The sight gave her pause. They looked friendly, just casually talking, but she hadn't expected Shade to be up this early, and she certainly hadn't expected her husband and friend to be together before she even woke up. "Oh, good morning," Tola said, stepping into the kitchen with a smile, masking her slight unease. They both turned. "Morning, sleepyhead." Kunle teased lightly. "We didn't mean to wake you. Shade and I were just heading out for a jog around the estate." "Jog?" Tola repeated, a bit surprised. She herself wasn't a morning exercise person. She usually did yoga later in the day, if anything. "Since when do you jog, Shade?" she asked with a chuckle, trying to sound casual. Shade poured a glass of water and shrugged. "Well, Kunle was about to go for his run and I mentioned I've been wanting to start exercising to clear my head. He kindly invited me along. I hope that's alright." "Of course it is," Tola said quickly. It did make sense. Kunle often jogged on weekend and sometimes weekdays, if time allowed, to stay fit. He had probably mentioned it in passing and athletic. Shade, she used to play volleyball in school, took him up on it. There was nothing wrong with that, she told herself. "I would have invited you too, but I know you value your beauty sleep." Kunle joked, kissing Tola's cheeks. "I figured one day I would get you to join me." Tola laughed. "One day maybe, but not today," she teased back. Though inside, she felt a little left out. She shook off the silly feeling. It was nice that her friend felt comfortable enough to join their routine. Maybe the exercise would even help Shade's mood. "You two have fun. I will have breakfast ready when you are back," she offered. No, I can handle that when we return," Shade insisted. "You've been cooking so much. Let me make us all some omelets then. It's the least I can do." "She makes great omelets," Tola confirmed to her husband, remembering past times. "All right then," Kunle said, heading towards the door with Shade following. "We'll be back in 30 or 40 minutes. As they left, Tola watched them through the window for a moment. They started a light jogging down the street, chatting side by side. She noticed Shade's outfit, running leggings and a fitted tank top, appropriate for exercise. Though she couldn't help but notice her friend's figure looked more pronounced in the sporty attire. She felt a twinge of something, but quickly chided herself. "That's my friend and my husband, and I trust them completely," she thought, turning away from the window. True to their word, they returned about half an hour later, slightly sweaty and laughing about something that happened during the run. Tola was at the stove frying plantains to go with the omelets. She looked over her shoulder to see them coming in, both a bit breathless. "How was it?" she asked. "Great run," Kunle said, filling a glass at the sink and gulping water. "Shade actually runs faster than I expected. She almost left me behind on the bridge." Oh, please. Shade rolled her eyes with a smile, dabbing her face with a towel. I was trying to keep up with you. They continued their playful debate as they helped set the table for breakfast. Tola served the food, and they all enjoyed the meal. She noticed that Kunle complimented the omelette flavor twice, and Shade seemed pleased. That day passed normally enough, but it was the beginning of a subtle shift. Over the following week or two, other small things happened. One evening, Tola had a video call with a supplier that ran long, so she missed part of dinner. When she finally emerged, she found that Kunle and Shade had already eaten and were washing up the dishes together, chatting in low voices. They looked up almost guiltily when she walked in, and she felt uncomfortable for a reason she couldn't place. They insisted they left food for her, which they did. And she joined them, but she couldn't shake a sense of having been excluded. It was irrational, she thought. They were just being considerate since she was busy. Another time, a neighbor invited Tola to a daytime function, a sort of charity luncheon. She asked Shade to come along to meet some people who might help in her job search, but Shade declined, saying she had a headache. However, later that day, when Tola returned home, she found out that Shade felt better and had gone out to the nearby cafe with Kunle. It turned out that Kunle had been working from home that day, and when he noticed Shade feeling better, he offered to treat her to a coffee to get some fresh air. It was innocent enough, and Tola didn't want to appear upset, but it pricked at her that neither of them had called to inform or invite her. Even if she was busy, Kunle apologized, saying he thought she would be tied up all afternoon. One night, another incident stood out in Tola's mind. It was late, and they were all in the living room watching a popular reality TV show that aired weekly. Partway through, Tola felt very sleepy. She had been up since early and told them she was going to bed. Kunle said he would come soon, and Shade just nodded, eyes on the TV. Tola went to the bedroom and lay down, expecting her husband to follow shortly after the program ended. She woke up later and glanced at the bedside clock. Midnight. The other side of the bed was still empty. Sleepily, she got up and padded out to the living room. The TV was off now, but a lamp was still on. On the couch, she saw a sight that stopped her. Shade and Kunle were both asleep, sitting there. Shade's head was resting on Kunle's shoulder, and his arm was around her, as if they had nodded off while maybe discussing something. For a moment, jealousy fled in Tola's chest. The image looked too cozy. She stepped forward, her foot unintentionally hitting the edge of the coffee table. The soft thud woke them. Kunle blinked, realized the situation, and quickly and gently moved away from Shade. Shade sat up straight, looking embarrassed, her eyes wide. "Tola," she said quickly, "I'm sorry. We must have dozed off. We were just talking about the show after it ended. And it's okay," Tola interrupted, forcing a smile, though her heart pounded. "I fell asleep too. It's late. Let's all go to bed." Kunle stood and came to Tola, perhaps reading something in her expression. "Sweetheart, it's nothing. She was just..." "I said it's fine," Tola replied, a bit sharply, then softened her tone. She didn't want to overreact. "It's late. We are all tired. Let's just go to sleep." Shade murmured an apology once more and quickly disappeared down the hallway to her room, not meeting Tola's eyes. In the bedroom, Kunle turned to his wife, looking concerned. "Are you upset with me?" he asked quietly as they got into the bed. Tola took a deep breath. She knew she should express her feelings, as communication was something they promised each other. But she also didn't want to come off as paranoid or accuse him of anything based on what could truly have been an innocent moment. I was just surprised, she admitted. It looked a bit odd finding you two like that. It wasn't on purpose, he explained gently. We were talking about that contestant on the show, and I guess Sade got emotional. Emotional? She was relating to the contestant's story of struggling alone in Lagos, and she started crying a little. I was just comforting her. We must have both nodded off afterwards. I'm sorry. I should have been more mindful. Tola's irritation eased a bit hearing that. It made sense if Sade was upset about her own life situation. I understand, she said softly. I worry maybe she's feeling too emotional. I hope she's okay. She is. She's just going through a lot. I think she felt embarrassed you found us like that. Maybe talk to her tomorrow so she knows you are not angry, Kunle suggested. You are right, Tola agreed. But that night, sleep eluded her for a while, lying beside her husband, listening to his slow beats as he fell asleep. Tola stared at the ceiling. She felt an uneasy mix of guilt and worry. Guilty for letting a seed of suspicion enter her heart when her friend and husband were likely just being good people. And worried because that seed, once planted, kept growing little by little, despite her trying to uproot it with logic and trust. The next day, she did speak with Sade gently, asking how she was feeling and if anything was bothering her. Sade apologized again for the night before. I was just missing my dad and feeling sorry for myself, I guess. Kunle was kind to listen. I'm so embarrassed you saw me that way. I hope you don't think I'm here causing trouble. Of course not, Tola lied convincingly, hugging her friend. I just wanted to make sure you are okay. You can always talk to me too, you know. I know, Sade said, hugging her back tightly. If there was a flicker of guilt or something else in Sade's eyes, Tola didn't catch it. After that, things seemed normal again for a time, yet a subtle tension lingered between the surface. Tola started noticing how sometimes when she walked into a room, if Sade and Kunle were talking, they would pause briefly, or how Sade, who initially was shy around Kunle, now seemed very at ease. Almost too at ease. She had teased him about small things like his slightly off-key singing in the shower that she overheard, or how he once burned toast and tried to hide the evidence. All three would laugh about these things, and Tola forced herself to laugh along, but privately she felt unease. Those were intimate family details. Sade was practically like part of the family now. But it had happened so quickly. One evening, a university friend of both women was having a birthday party at a new rooftop lounge in Ikoyi. Tola initially planned to attend with Sade, and Kunle was going to skip it and stay home because it was more of a girls' reunion thing. However, on the day of the party, Tola came down with a migraine. She told Sade to still go without her, not wanting her to miss out or appear rude by changing the last minute. Sade was reluctant. Are you sure? I can stay here with you. It's fine. No. You go have fun for both of us, Tola insisted, massaging her temple. Just give Kemi my love and apologies for not making it. Kunle chimed in, concerned about his wife. I will stay with her to make sure she's okay. At this, Sade looked at her friend and then at Kunle, something uncertain in her eyes. Actually, if you're staying home to care for her, maybe I should stay too. Or, Kunle, perhaps you could come with me instead, just for a little while, to represent the both of you. That way, I'm not alone and Tola can rest. It was an unexpected suggestion. Kunle raised his brows in surprise. Tola, lying on the couch with a cold towel on her forehead, also looked up in surprise. The idea of husband going to the party with Sade in her place gave her immediate discomfort. Although, logically, she could see Sade's point about not wanting to go alone where she might not know many others besides the birthday girl. Maybe that's not, Tola began, but her head throbbed and she winced. Kule noticed and kneeled beside her. Honey, if you need me here, I'll stay. Don't worry about the party. Sade quickly said, it's okay. I can handle it. I'll just pop in and out. Say happy birthday and come back. Tola forced a smile despite her headache. She felt torn. She didn't want Sade to feel bad, but she also didn't want to send her husband out partying without her with her friend. It sounded silly when she framed it like that in her mind. She trusted Kunle, but her heart talked with a warning. It's fine. You both go if you want. She found herself saying, surprising even herself. She hated that the words came out, but part of her didn't want to appear like the jealous wife or to make a scene over nothing. I will just sleep. My migraine should be better by later tonight. Are you sure? Tola, are you sure? Kunle asked, searching her face to be certain. Tola nodded. Yes, it might even be good for you to go out a bit. You've been working so hard. Just don't stay out too late, okay? She tried to keep her tone light. Kunle smiled gently and squeezed her hand. Thank you. I'll take care of her, he joked, nodding towards Sade, trying to lighten the mood. Sade still looked hesitant. All right, if you insist, but I won't drink at all. I'll be your driver since you already took painkillers, she told Kunle. A short while later, Tola watched them leave, dressed up for the party. Sade had borrowed one of Tola's dresses, a simple but elegant black dress. She looked nice, her hair in braids pulled up into a bun. Kunle was dashing in a casual blazer and jeans. They really could be mistaken for a couple. A stray thought in Tola's mind whispered, seeing how well they both dressed and stepped out together. She told herself off for even thinking that and shut the thought out. Left alone in the big, quiet house, Tola felt lonelier than she had in a long time. The headache made it impossible to even distract herself with TV or a book, so she eventually dozed off. She woke around 11 p.m. The house was dark and still no sign of them. Her headache had dulled, but not fully gone. She checked her phone. No message from either of them since they left around 7 p.m, which was odd. Perhaps they were still at the party or driving back. She dialed Kunle's number, feeling a bit anxious. It rang and rang, then went to voicemail. She tried Sade's number. It was the same. No answer. That was even odder because Sade usually picked up or at least texted back quickly. Worry began to gnaw at her. Were they okay? Lagos at night could be unpredictable. Although Ikoyi wasn't far and was safe enough, driving at night could still have risks like drunk drivers or police stops. Finally, at almost midnight, she heard the car pulling and voices. She peered out the bedroom window. She could see them in the driveway. It looks like they were talking before getting out of the car. A few minutes later, she heard the keys in the door. She stayed in bed, not sure why she suddenly felt like she should pretend she was still sleeping. But curiosity got the better of her, and she sat up as they gently opened the bedroom door to check on her. You are back, she said quietly, flicking on the bedside lamp. Kunle looked a bit startled, like a teenager caught sneaking in late at night. Then gave a soft laugh. Hey, you are awake. How are you feeling? Better, she replied. She noticed Sade hovering at the door behind him. How was the party? It was fine. Lot of old faces from school, Sade said. Kemi was happy we came. How is your head? Better, Tola repeated, eyeing them. Something felt off. Kule was avoiding her gaze slightly. Was he ashamed? Or was that her imagination? She noted his hand as he ran it through his hair. His wedding ring glinted under the lamp. For a second, an insane thought hit her. Thank God he's wearing his ring, as if that assured anything. We didn't stay too long after midnight, Kule added, stepping in. Shade insisted on coming back quickly to check on you, actually. Shade nodded earnestly. Yes, I was worried the whole time. They both seemed overly explanatory. Perhaps they really were just concerned and now relieved she was okay. She might be projecting her own inner turmoil onto them. You should get some rest, Shade, Kule suggested over his shoulder to the friend. Thanks for driving. Sure, good night, guys, Shade said. Her tone towards them felt a bit formal. Suddenly, she left to her room. Kule changed out of his party clothes silently while Tola watched him, debating if she should ask if anything happened. He didn't seem drunk or anything. If anything, he seemed tense. Eventually, he slid into bed. What's wrong? She asked softly. He shook his head. Just thinking about you. I hope your headache doesn't come back. She knew that wasn't it, but she let it slide. She nestled against him, and he put an arm around her, but his mind seemed elsewhere. As Tola drifted back to sleep, that uneasy feeling deepened. The subtle signs were adding up. She didn't know it yet, but a storm was quietly gathering on the horizon of her life, threatening to shatter the trust and peace she held there. That night, under the same roof, each of them wrestled with their own thoughts. In the darkness of her guest room, Shade stared at the mirror, a conflicted look on her face. In the master bedroom, Tola clung to the comfort of her husband's presence, telling herself that tomorrow would be better. And Kule, holding his wife close, kept his eyes open for a long time. Guilt and confusion battling within him over feelings he never meant to let grow. Sunday arrived with an overcast sky, grey clouds hanging low over Lagos. The atmosphere was heavy, and if nature sensed the tension brewing in Tola's home after the uneasy events of the previous night, Tola woke up with knots in her stomach. Kule was still asleep beside her, and in the quiet morning, she could hear the distant hum of the generator kicking in. There had been another power outage. Normally, she would smuggle closer to her husband or gently wake him to get ready for church. But today, she slipped out of bed carefully, her mind too troubled to lie still. In the kitchen, she found Shade already up and making a pot of tea. Shade turned, looking perhaps a little nervous. Morning, Tola. You're up early. I couldn't sleep much, Tola admitted, leaning on the doorway. Shade gave a small sympathetic smile. Headache better? Yes, the headache is gone, Tola said. She paused, then added quietly, thank you for last night, for going to the party with Kunle and coming back quickly. I'm sorry if I made things awkward. Shade shook her head. You don't have to apologize. I just hope you are feeling okay. Her eyes darted away after that, focusing intensely on pouring tea into 2 mugs. There was a silence. Tola wanted to ask so many questions. Had anything happened at the party? Why did both their phones go unanswered? Why did they seem so tense coming home? But she swallowed those questions for now. After an awkward moment, Tola said, I'm going to church this morning. It's almost 8 o'clock. Oh, all right, Shade replied. I think I'll stay in. I've been feeling a little tired. She looked down, avoiding eye contact. Tola tried not to read into it. Sure, you should rest. She then hesitated. What about Kunle? Is he up? At that moment, as if on cue, Kunle appeared in the kitchen doorway, rubbing his eyes. Good morning, ladies, he mumbled, offering a faint smile. He walked over and took one of the mugs of tea Shade had poured, assuming it was for him. "Thanks," he said to her softly. She nodded. "Good morning, Kunle." Tola watched this small exchange, her heart sinking a little. It was such a domestic, comfortable scene, her husband taking tea from her best friend, that she didn't know why it unsettled her so much. Pushing the thought aside, she stepped closer to him. "Honey, I'm going for the 9 o'clock service at church. Will you be coming?" Kunle sipped the tea, seeming to consider. Normally, he would accompany her without question. But today, he said, "I'm feeling a bit worn out. That party took a toll on me. I might skip church today and just rest, if that's okay." He gave her a slightly apologetic look. Tola forced a smile. "Of course, it's okay. You should rest if you are tired." Immediately, the knot in her stomach tightened. Both of them were staying home together. She mentally chided herself for the implication. They had a right to be tired after going out last night, nothing more. Yet, leaving them alone made her uneasy now. A thought that would have never crossed her mind a few weeks ago. She finished her own cup of tea quickly and went to get ready. As she dressed in a simple navy blue dress and light head scarf for church, she thought about calling her mother to join her. Perhaps some maternal comfort and advice would help calm her heart. By 8:45, she was ready to leave. Kunle was lounging on the couch in shorts and a t-shirt, flipping through channels. Shade had gone to her room, saying she wanted to take a nap. "I'll be back in a couple of hours," Tola said, picking up her purse. She looked at her husband. "Do you want me to bring anything for lunch on my way back?" Kunle glanced up and smiled. "Don't worry about that. Actually, we will sort lunch. Maybe I will order something or cook if I feel up to it." From the hallway, Shade's voice chimed in. "I can cook something. There is stew in the fridge. I can make rice and warm the stew for us." "For us?" The word struck Tola in a strange way, but she kept her face neutral. "All right then, see you both soon. Take care," she said. She gave Kunle a peck on the cheek. He squeezed her hand gently and said, "We'll be here. Say hi to mommy for me if you see her at church." "I will," Tola answered. She hesitated a second, her eyes drifting toward the corridor where Shade's room was. Then she turned and left. As she drove out of the compound and onto the street, the Sunday morning was quiet. She drove to her family church in Ikeja on the mainland, which took about 30 minutes without heavy traffic. The entire way, her mind was tangled with worry. She tried praying along the drive, but her thoughts kept returning to the image of Shade and Kunle alone together. "This is no way to think," she scolded herself aloud, gripping the steering wheel. "They wouldn't betray me. They wouldn't." Yet, something in her no longer believed that wholeheartedly, and that realization made her throat tighten with emotion. At church, she found it hard to focus on the sermon. After the service, as the congregation miled about greeting, her mother, Mama Tayo, spotted her. A petite woman with kind but sharp eyes, her mother immediately sensed something was off with her daughter. "Tola, my dear, are you all right? You look pale," her mother said, drawing her aside under the shade of a palm tree on the church grounds. "I'm okay, mommy," Tola lied, managing a weak smile. Her mother wasn't convinced. "Where is Kunle and your friend Shade? I expected to see all of you today." "They stayed at home. We had a late night at a friend's party and they were tired," Tola explained, trying to keep her tone light. Her mother pursed her lips slightly. I see." She studied her daughter's face. "My dear, forgive me, but you seem worried. Is everything fine at home?" At that gentle question, Tola's resolve broke a little. Her eyes filled with tears that she had been holding back. "Mommy, I don't know." Concerned, her mother guided her to a quieter corner. Tell me what's going on. Hauntingly, Tola shared a bit of her worries. How inviting Sade to live with them had been fine at first, but lately things felt different. She admitted she felt insecure about how close Sade and Kunle had become. She was careful with her words, not wanting to outright accuse them of anything she hadn't truly seen. But her mother picked up on the implications. Her mother sighed and shook her head knowingly. I warned you, didn't I? I told you to be careful about bringing a full-grown woman into your home, even if she's like a sister. It's not about trust alone. It's about temptation. You young people think these things don't happen to you, but they do. Tola wiped a tear, voice trembling. I trusted them both so much. I still want to trust them, but I can't ignore how I feel. Am I being stupid or paranoid, mommy? Her mother rubbed her back soothingly. Feeling jealous in this kind of situation doesn't mean you are a bad person. It means you sense something is off. Even if nothing serious has happened yet, it's clear this arrangement is causing strain. You and your husband's privacy is important. And Sade, well, she's human too. She might not have intended any harm, but closeness can breed feelings unexpectedly. What should I do? Tola asked in a small voice. Mama Tayo looked into her daughter's eyes. Go home and talk to your husband openly. Tell him how you feel, and maybe it's time to find a polite way to ask your friend to make other arrangements, not in anger, but for the sake of your marriage. Tola nodded slowly. Her mother was right. Communication with Kunle was key. She had been holding in her fears, half out of denial and half out of not wanting to seem foolish. But if she didn't speak up, things might continue sliding in a dangerous direction. After a few more comforting words and a fervent prayer with her mother, Tola decided to head home. She drove faster than usual, eager and anxious to sort things out. On the drive, it started raining heavily, the clouds finally releasing their burden. By the time she neared Lekki, it was pouring, the cityscape blurred by sheets of rain. She turned on her wipers and headlights, heart thumping, rehearsing what she might say to Kunle. She pulled into their gate compound around 11:30 a.m. The rain was coming down in torrents, and she had to dash from the car to the front door, getting very wet even in that short run. Oddly, the door was unlocked, maybe because they expected her back about now. Stepping inside, she noticed the house was quiet. The room was empty, though she saw 2 plates of half-eaten food on the dining table, rice and stew, as promised. 2 plates, side by side. It looked like both of them had eaten. Perhaps they had finished lunch not long ago. She set down her purse, water dripping from the hem of her dress onto the floor. Kunle, she called out, wiping her damp face with a handkerchief. I'm back. No response. Perhaps they didn't hear over the drumming of the rain on the rooftop. She moved further in. Sade, she called louder. Still no answer. The silence was peculiar. She checked the kitchen. Empty. Though the pot of stew was on the stove, covered. The smell of food lingered warmly, but the house felt empty of people. Maybe they were in their rooms. She walked towards the bedroom corridor. First, she passed the guest room. The door was open. She peeked in. The bed was made, and no one was inside. Possibly, they were in the master bedroom. Perhaps something needed fixing, or they were watching a movie on the bigger TV there. The master bedroom door was closed. A jolt of nerves went through her. She always left it open when not in. Why was it closed now? Tola's hand shook as she grasped the doorknob. She had a sudden instinctual dread of what she might find behind that door. For a second, she debated not opening it, turning around, calling out again to announce her presence loudly. But something pushed her forward. She turned the knob and opened the door. Nothing in her life could have prepared her for what she saw. There in the soft daylight, flickering through sheer curtains, was her husband in embrace of her best friend. On their marital bed, Kule and Sade sprang apart the moment the door swung open, but it was too late. The sight was burned into Tola's eyes. Sade's blouse was unbuttoned, clutched hastily to her chest. Kule's shirt was off, and he scrambled to grab it. They both looked flushed, guilty, and utterly shocked. For a second, no one spoke. The only sound was the pounding rain outside and the distant rumble of thunder. Tola stood in the doorway, frozen, her umbrella and purse slipping from her hands to the floor with a thud. Her mind went blank, as if refusing to process the scene. Tola, Kule started, his voice high with panic. This isn't... But he didn't finish that sentence, because what could he possibly say? This isn't what it looks like. It was exactly what it looked like. Sade slid off the bed, fumbling to straighten her clothing. I am sorry, she babbled, tears springing to her eyes immediately. It just happened. Tola finally found her voice, and it came out in a scream that shattered the air. How could you? Her chest felt like it was going to explode. The betrayal, shock, and hurt all rushed in at once now, drowning her, her vision blurred with tears and fury. Kule was now pulling on his shirt, stepping toward her with his arms slightly raised as if approaching a wild animal. Please, let me explain, he pleaded, eyes wide in a terror and remorse. Don't, Tola snapped, stepping back from him. She couldn't bear for him to come close or touch her. She looked between the two of them, the two people she loved most in the world, now forever changed in her eyes. It was as if she didn't even recognize them. Sade was crying outright, moving gingerly towards Tola. Tola, please, I am sorry. I never meant to fall in love with him. Fall in love? Tola echoed in disbelief. Hearing that phrase was like being slapped. You think that justifies this? In my own house, on my bed? Her voice broke on a sob at that word, and she covered her mouth as a wave of nausea hit her. Kule's face crumpled. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. A horrible mistake. He looked desperate, tears forming in his eyes as well. He reached a hand out. I love you, Tola. This meant nothing. Nothing? Now Tola turned her rage on him. Nothing, Kule. My best friend in your arms is nothing. God, I trusted you both. Her whole body trembled uncontrollably. Betrayal like a knife twisted in her heart. Sade stepped closer, her hand outstretched as if to beg. We didn't want to hurt you. It's just we got carried away. Tola wide on her, eyes blazing through tears. You? I took you in when you had nowhere, Sade. I treated you like a sister, gave you a home, fed you, cared for you, and this is what you do to me? How could you do this to me? Her voice cracked with raw emotion. Sade sobbed. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Tola. Anger and anguish welled within Tola, leaving her feeling like she might shatter. She advanced into the room, pointing towards the door with a rigid arm. Get out, she hissed at Sade, each word dripping with pain. Pack your things and get out of my house now. Sade blanched, her face wet with tears. Please let me out, Tola screamed, a surge of rage giving power to her voice. She had never yelled like that in her life. It frightened even her. But in this moment, the betrayal overwhelmed all other considerations. Sade jumped at the sound, physically trembling. She looked to Kunle, perhaps expecting him to defend her or intercede, but he remained silent, eyes lowered in shame. Seeing no support, Shade nodded miserably and edged around the room towards the door. She paused as she passed, trying one more time. Tola, Tola raised a hand abruptly, not to hit, but as a warning. Don't. Just go. You are dead to me, Shade, she said coldly, each word laced with heartbreak. At that, Shade covered her mouth, stifling a wail, and hurried out, barefoot and disheveled. In moments, she was in her guest room across the hall, frantically throwing belongings in her suitcase. Now, it was just Tola and Kunle in the bedroom. The scene of the unforgivable act, Kunle took a tentative step towards his wife. Tola, please, can we talk? She turned her glare on him. Talk? Now you want to talk? What on earth could you possibly say to make this any better? He hung his head. I have no excuse. I messed up. I messed up badly. And I am sorry about that. Watching her usually confident husband reduced to a stammering broken man might have moved her once, but right now it only felt like salt on her wound. Were you sleeping with her this whole time? She asked, each word like poison. How long, Kunle? How long has this been going on? He looked up, panicked. This was the first time, I swear it. We never did anything like this until today. We just feeling got confused. But I never touched her before, I promise you. Tola let out a bitter, hollow laugh. Do you really expect me to believe that? I saw the way you two have been acting. The whispering, the touches, the secrets. You've been betraying me for weeks emotionally. Even if you claim this was the first physical time, was last night at the party also just feelings? His eyes widened. No, last night nothing happened, except but we stopped. Tola, I wanted to tell you everything this morning. I was so guilty. I was trying to find the right moment. She interrupted, her voice dripping with hurt. The right moment? Perhaps right after you finished in bed with her would have been a good moment, don't you think? He flinched as if struck. Tears slipped from his eyes now. I know I deserve that. I deserve every name you want to call me. I've betrayed your trust, our marriage vows. I've failed you completely. But please don't end us. I'll do anything to make this right, to earn your trust again. Tola felt something break inside her at his plea. How ironic to beg for the marriage now, after he himself had tossed it into the fire. She sank onto the edge of the bed, then realizing whose bed she was sitting on. She jumped up, as if it burned her. She couldn't bear being in this room any longer. Everywhere she looked, she saw reminders, the crumpled sheets, the pillows. Images of the two of them tangled there, flashed in her mind like a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. You know what? I can't do this. I can't even look at you right now, she managed in a whisper, wrapping her arms around herself. Kunle moved closer, kneeling on the floor at her feet. He reached out and lightly touched her knee, his eyes pleading. I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness, but I am begging you, Tola. Don't leave me. I love you more than anything. This was a terrible mistake. I was weak and stupid, and I allowed something that should never have happened. Please. His voice cracked, full of agony. He pressed his forehead to her knee, sobbing now. It was a sight that would have broken her heart at any other time. Her strong husband brought so low, but right now, Tola felt numb. The shock was wearing off, replaced by a deep, deep pain. She looked down at him and quietly asked him, "Did you ever consider me when you were with her? Did you even think of what it would do to me?" He lifted his head, eyes red. Every second. That was why I hesitated, why I stopped it from going further. But it was already too far. I thought of you and I hated myself. Yet I didn't stop early enough. I have no excuse. It was like I wasn't myself, like I was watching someone else do it. I don't know how I allowed this. You have every right to hate me. He covered his face with his hands, ashamed. Tola stepped back, removing his touch from her. She realized she was crying too. Tears mingling with the rainwater that had damped her hair and clothes. She felt cold. "I don't hate you, Kunle," she said softly, voice trembling. "I trusted you. I loved you. You were my partner, my safe place. And now, I don't even know who you are. I don't know who I am to you anymore." "You are everything to me," he said instantly. "I was an idiot. I betrayed you and I betrayed myself. Please give me a chance to fix this. I'll cut off all contact with her." At that moment, they heard the sound of the front door. Shade was leaving, with her suitcase out on the rain. Kunle glanced in that direction, getting up as if to go after her or say something, but caught himself. Tola saw that flicker of attention. Even now, a part of him was concerned for Shade, living in the storm. It was in his nature to care, but to Tola, it felt like another small stab. "Go," she said bitterly. "Go and see her off if you need to." "No," he shook his head. "I choose you. I don't care about her. I care about you." They heard the gate open and shut. Shade was gone. A heavy silence followed. "You should have thought of that before you slept with my best friend," Tola said, voice hollow. Fresh tears welled in her eyes, and she wiped them away angrily. She did not want to be here anymore. She needed to get out, to breathe away from this suffocating betrayal. Without another word, she turned and walked out of the bedroom, heading for the closet where she grabbed a travel bag. Kunle followed, panic rising again. "What are you doing?" "I'm leaving," she said flatly, throwing a few clothes into the bag with trembling hands. He rushed to her side. "Leaving? No, please. Don't leave, Tola. Let's talk this through, please." She spun on him, a fierce pain in her eyes. "Talk through what? You want me to just stay here and pretend nothing happened? I can't even stand in that room without seeing you two. I can't look at you right now. I need time. I need space. I can't be here, Kunle." He reached for her hand, but she pulled it away. "Where will you go?" he asked in a small voice. "Does it matter?" "Away from you," she replied, zipping up her bag. She pushed past him. He followed her to the front door. Rain spraying inside through the open door as she stepped out. "At least let me drive you. It's raining," he implored, getting soaked beside her. She shook her head, throwing her bag into her car's back seat. "I will manage. I need to be alone." Kunle was drenched now, rain mixing with tears on his face. On the driveway, under the gloomy sky, he fell to his knees on the wet ground. "Tola, I am sorry," he cried out over the sound of the rain. "Please, I am begging you." His anguish echoed, but Tola steeled herself. She got into the car, started it, and with one last pained look at the man she had loved so dearly, she backed out of the compound. In the rearview mirror, she saw him slump on the ground, water splashing around him, a broken figure, the image blurred as she sobbed, driving away. She drove through Lagos in a daze. The rain was relentless, matching the storm inside her heart. At some point, she realized she shouldn't be driving in this state. Her eyes were clouded with tears. and twice she's nearly missed a turn. She pulled over by a petrol station, parked her car to shield from the rain, and then she broke down completely. Gut-wrenching sobs racked her body as she gripped the steering wheel. It felt as if her world had ended. The man she adored, the friend she cherished, both had shattered her trust in one fell swoop. What had she done to deserve this? She replayed every moment in her head, looking for signs, berating herself for being blind, for letting it happen under her nose. After what felt like an eternity, her sobs subsided into whimpers. A petrol station attendant tapped on her window gently, concern on his face. "Madam, are you okay? You've been here long," he said, realizing she must look a mess and that she was attracting attention. Tola quickly thanked him and drove off again, heading for the only place she could think to go, her parents' house. By the time she arrived at her childhood home in Ikeja, the rain had reduced to a light drizzle. It was early afternoon. Her mother opened the door, alarmed to see her daughter soaking wet and devastated. Without a word, Tola collapsed into her mother's arms and cried anew. Her father came to the door as well, confusion and worry on his face. They brought her in, got her into dry clothes, and gently coaxed the story out of her in between her bouts of tears. As Tola haltingly recounted the betrayal, her mother's face went from shock to anger to sorrow. Her father kept shaking his head in disbelief and muttering under his breath. They were heartbroken for their daughter. Her father, who had always doted on Kunle like a son-in-law he was proud of, stood up with rage when he heard what happened. "That boy! I will go there right now and deal with him. How dare he? And that girl, after all we did for her when she was younger." But Mama Tayo held her husband's arms. "Calm down. We need to focus on Tola now. She needs us." She turned to her daughter, who sat on the sofa, staring blankly now, exhaustion and shock having emptied her out. "You will stay here with us as long as you need, okay? Don't even think about that house or those people for now." Tola nodded numbly. "Thank you, Mommy, Daddy. Please, don't go there. There is nothing you can fix or do to fix it." Her father clenched his fist. "I can knock some sense into him. That's what I can do. He must face consequences." "It's not worth it, Dad," Tola said quietly. "He's already destroyed everything. Hitting him won't change that." Her father sighed, sitting down heavily. "I'm so sorry, my princess. I never thought Kunle could do such a thing. He seemed like a good man." "He was," Tola whispered, tears sliding down again. "At least I thought he was." The next few days passed in a painful blur for Tola. She fell into a deep sadness, barely eating, barely speaking. Her mother stayed by her side constantly, comforting her with prayers and gentle words. Friends who found out, like Kemi, whose party indirectly led to the review, called or visited, expressing outrage and support. Kunle tried to reach her countless times. He called constantly, sent long text messages of apology, sent emails pouring out his regret and love. At first, Tola deleted the messages without replying, each beep of her phone triggering anxiety and headache. She avoided social media entirely, dreading any drama if word got out. Sade, on her part, had vanished from Tola's life. She too tried to call once or twice in the first days, but Tola refused to answer. Eventually, Kemi told Tola that Sade had resigned from the friends group chat and was staying with a distant relative in another part of Lagos. Tola didn't get to know more. The wound was too fresh to even consider forgiveness or understanding. Each night, Tola cried herself to sleep in her old bedroom. the familiar posters on the wall from her university days, the stack of novels on the shelf, all reminder of a simpler time before adult life and its brutal complications. She felt like a broken version of the girl who once dreamed here about her fairy tale future. One afternoon, about a week after the incident, her mother found her sitting by the window, staring out at nothing. Mama Tayo placed a hand on her shoulder. "My dear, you cannot go on like this. You must eat. You must take care of yourself. Don't let this tragedy destroy you." "I don't know how to get past this, mommy," Tola said in a dull voice. "It hurts so much. I can hardly breathe when I think about it. How can I move on?" "With time and with faith," her mother said firmly. "This is not the end of your life. I know it feels like it now, but you will heal. You're stronger than you think." Tola stayed quiet. Her mother sighed and continued. "I've been married to your father for 35 years. Marriage is not easy. But one thing I learned, trust is its foundation. Once broken, it is very hard to rebuild. However, the person who broke it will have to live with the consequences of their actions. You, my dear, must live for yourself now." "I thought marriage was forever," Tola whispered, voice choked. "I thought we would grow old together. Now what? Do I just throw it all away?" "That depends on what you want and what you can forgive," her mother responded gently. "Nobody can decide for you. Some women choose to forgive and rebuild. Others choose to walk away to protect their sanity. There is no right or wrong choice, only what is right for you." That evening, Tola finally mustered the strength to read some of the messages Kunle had sent. In one long email, he had confessed everything in detail: how he and Sade had slowly gotten too close, how an attraction formed that he didn't know how to stop. He admitted that at the party, after a few drinks, they had kissed in the car before coming home, and that tormented him with guilt. The next day, the morning she went to church, while she was away, Sade had confronted him expressing feelings. He claimed he was trying to reason with Sade in the bedroom when she suddenly kissed him, and one thing led to another. He said that it was the first and only time they crossed that physical line. Reading his words was painful, but at least it filled the blanks in her mind. He ended the email begging for forgiveness and promising to do anything to make it up, including counseling, swearing on everything never to stray again, and waiting for her no matter how long it took, even if she never took him back. Tola cried reading it, feeling a mix of anger and pity. He sounded genuinely shattered by what he had done. But a part of her questioned, would he be this sorry if they hadn't been caught? Or would it have continued in secret? Those thoughts plagued her. Weeks turned into a month. September rolled into October. Leaves didn't exactly change color in Lagos, but the heavy rains of the season began to lighten. In all this time, Tola remained with her parents. With their support and love, she slowly started taking steps to reclaim her life. She threw herself into her online boutique business, using work as a distraction. She even found a small shop space in Ikeja through a friend's connection and decided to open a physical outlet, a project to channel her pain into something productive. The busyness of sourcing decor for the shop and setting it up helped occupy her mind. Throughout this time, Kunle persisted in trying to reach her. He sent flowers. She left them at the gate. He wrote letters delivered by courier. In each, he poured out remorse. He also let her know that Sade had left Lagos to stay with her aunt in another city, perhaps out of shame or to give space. He mentioned in one letter that if it mattered at all to her, he had cut all contact with Sade entirely and would never speak to her again. There was one more thing in his letters. He mentioned that Sade had revealed she was pregnant, but after what happened, She decided not to keep the baby and had already left to seek a fresh start elsewhere. Tola read that line over and over, shocked. So there had been a pregnancy, or at least a possibility of one, that ended. She felt sorrow at the thought of the innocent life caught in this mess, yet also relief. How much more complicated and painful it would have been if a child had resulted. When she shared this news with her mother, Mama Tayo sighed deeply. Ah, children, see what you almost brought into this world. Chaos. May God forgive them. It was a lot for Tola to process, and it added another layer to her emotional journey, sadness and a bit of guilt too. Despite everything, the thought of Shade going through that alone touched at her empathy. Gradually, the raw anguish in Tola dulled into a quieter pain. She could not go a day without breaking down. She even smiled occasionally, though her eyes still held sadness. Through prayer and support, she started to mend her heart, piece by piece. The betrayal had taught her harsh lessons about trust, but it also taught her about herself, her resilience, her capacity to survive pain. One late afternoon, about 2 months after the incident, as she was closing up her newly opened boutique, she saw a familiar figure standing hesitantly by the doorway. It was Kunle. He looked thinner and had dark circles under his eyes, as if he hadn't been sleeping well. The moment she saw him, her heart skipped with a jumble of feelings: love, hurt, longing, anger. He gave a small cautious smile. "Hi," he said quietly. "Hi," she replied just as quietly. She hadn't seen him in person for so long until that dreadful day, and seeing him now looking so broken nearly unraveled her. But she steadied herself. "I've been coming here every day for a week, hoping to catch you when you are free," he said softly. "I heard from Kemi that you opened this shop. It looks great." She nodded, unsure what to say. How have you been?" He let out a sad chuckle. "Not well, but that's my own doing. I actually started seeing a therapist. I had to make sense of why I ruined the best thing in my life." He paused. "I miss you every day." Tola looked away, swallowing the lump in her throat. "Kunle, I'm glad you are getting help." "I am, but what do you want me to say?" He stepped a bit closer, not too near, respecting her space. "I don't expect anything. I just wanted to see you, to tell you in person how profoundly sorry I am. I know words are empty after what I did, but I need you to know that no matter what, I'll carry this regret forever. You didn't deserve any of it." She met his eyes finally. She saw genuine remorse and suffering there. This was not the confident, cheerful Kunle she once knew. He was a man humbled by his mistakes. "I know you are sorry," she said quietly, "and I believe you regret it deeply." His eyes lit up with a small hope at her words, but she continued, "But you broke something, Kunle. You broke something in me, in us. I can't just glue it back together on apology alone." I'm still very hurt." He nodded, tears brimming. "I understand. I don't deserve anything from you. I just wanted you to know that no matter what, I will always love you and I will always be sorry. And I will always cherish what we shared." There was a heavy silence. The sun was setting, golden light streaming in and illuminating them in the little boutique filled with colorful dresses and accessories. This place of new beginnings for her was now the stage for an ending, or perhaps an epilogue. "I cared about Shade as a friend," Tola said suddenly, surprising herself. "She was like a sister to me, but I never for a moment saw her as anything but that. I can't fathom. I still can't fathom how you two." She trailed off, shaking her head, tears in her eyes. Kunle rubbed his face. "It baffles me too. I allowed momentarily attraction and emotional confusion to overpower my sense of right and wrong. It was never about lacking anything with you. You are everything to me. You always were. I was just stupid, and I will curse myself for it every day. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. I need to know, did you ever really love her? No, he answered immediately. I thought I might have feelings, but it wasn't love. It was just a stupid crush and flattery and, I don't know, a selfish part of me that liked the attention. I was a fool. Real love is what I have for you. I only realized the difference when I destroyed the real thing for something empty. Tola closed her eyes as a tear rolled down. As much as those words might seem comforting, they also hurt. If he truly loved her, how could he have risked it? But human hearts are flawed. She knew. I'm not sure what happens next, she said finally, voice trembling. I'm taking things day by day. You will always be a part of me, Kunle. But I don't know if I can be with you again. Not now. Maybe not never. I just don't know. He bit his lips and nodded slowly, tears falling. I understand. I came here prepared for that. I won't push you. Even if you never come back to me, I just pray you find happiness again, with or without me. I pray one day you can forgive me in your heart, even if we are apart, so that you don't carry bitterness. You deserve peace. She appreciated that. In fact, forgiveness had been a recurring theme in her prayers recently, not for his sake, but for hers, so she could heal. I am working on that, she admitted. It's hard, but I don't want to hate you or Sade forever. The anger only eats me up inside. I want to let it go, in time, and be free. He managed a sad smile. You always had a beautiful heart, more than I ever deserved. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. So much love and pain and history between them. Finally, Tola spoke softly. I won't say we will get back together, but I also won't say never. I need more time to find myself again. Maybe in the future, if I ever do decide to try again, it would have to be a completely new start. But don't wait for me. I think we both need to heal separately. Kunle's shoulders shook as he tried not to break down. I understand, he repeated, voice thick. Even if we walk separate paths, I will always be sorry, and I will always cherish what we had. With that, Tola gently walked him to the door. It was one of the hardest things, to watch him leave, because despite everything, a part of her still loved him deeply. But she knew she loved herself too, and she had to protect her heart now. As Kunle stepped out into the evening and whispered a final "I'm sorry," she nodded and softly closed the door behind him. Inside the quiet shop, Tola exhaled a shaky breath. Strangely, she felt a small weight lift off her. Facing him and expressing her feelings had been a needed release. She had not crumbled. She had stood firm in her truth. She realized that was part of her growth, learning to assert her needs and boundaries even when her heart was pulled in another direction. That night, back at her parents' house, Tola slept without crying for the first time since the betrayal. She wasn't fully okay. There were still many painful days ahead. She knew, but she had survived the worst of the storm. Over the next few weeks, she focused on her business, finding satisfaction as sales slowly picked up and customers complimented her designs. She went out occasionally with a few friends, regaining a bit of social life, although she was wary of deep friendships for now. Trust would take time to rebuild in her relationships. One week, she found herself organizing her phone gallery and came across old photos of her, Kunle and Sade, smiling at the beach, celebrating birthdays, the wedding day. It hurt to see, but she didn't delete them. Instead, she created a folder and tucked them away. They were memories of a time when things were innocent and good. She decided she would not let the betrayal completely tarnish the good times that had preceded it. Those memories were real, even if later events had cast them into a different light. In her heart, she began to forgive, not to excuse the actions, but to let go of the poisonous resentment. She whispered a prayer one night for both Kule and Shade that they find their right path and learn from this. It was not easy, but each time she did it, she felt a bit more free. After 6 months of leaving her matrimonial home, Tola revisited it just once. Kule was not there. He had informed her through her lawyer as they began quietly arranging a legal separation that he would be traveling for work, so she could come collect her remaining belongings without seeing him if she wished. She did so, walking through the rooms that had once been filled with love and laughter. It was painful, but also gave her closure. The house felt empty, like a shell. She realized it wasn't the walls that made a home, but the people. And once trust was broken, the warmth of that home had vanished. She took what she needed and left the keys on the table, knowing she wouldn't be coming back to live there. Whether she and Kule ever reconciled in the distant future remained uncertain. But the chapter of their idyllic early marriage was closed. Stepping out of that house for the last time, Tola felt both sorrow and a strange sense of relief. She had faced the worst and survived. Now her life was hers to rebuild as she saw it. That evening, watching a Lagos sunset from her parents' balcony, she felt a glimmer of hope. The sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, the stormy clouds long gone. In that moment of peace, she realized that though she had been deeply hurt, she was not defeated. She would love and trust again, cautiously, yes, but she knew she still had a lot of love to give. Most importantly, she had learned to love herself enough to walk away from what wounded her. Her journey had taken a turn she never expected, but it taught her invaluable lessons about friendship, temptation, and the strength that comes from overcoming betrayal. With time, she would be okay. Moral lesson: betrayal by those closest to us can break our hearts, but it also teaches us invaluable lessons. Be careful whom you trust completely, and never ignore the importance of boundaries in relationships. When trust is broken, it may be repaired or it may lead to a new path. But what really matters is valuing yourself, learning from the pain, and growing stronger. True loyalty and honesty are priceless. Cherish them. And remember that even after the deepest hurt, you have the strength to heal and find happiness again. And with that, my dear friends, our story comes to a close. But remember, the magic of storytelling lives on, waiting to whisk us away on new adventures, where the wonders of imagination know no bounds. Goodbye for now, and may your dreams be filled with joy, wonder, and endless possibility. Thank you so much for watching. Please kindly comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting stories.